most people in any given population never come to understand militaries. There are countries around the world where at least half the population serves in the military, and that means that military culture is much more widely known among the general civilian population. But military culture is not the civilian culture, and it's a very unique set of human relationships. Suffice it to say, the military is quite unique, right? But the one thing that I've observed throughout my life is that military cultures around the world are built on merit, fundamentally. Achievement through merit, which is the topic of the class today. So you have to earn your place. And the lives of people around you who you're working with are at stake. So if you don't do your job or you can't do your job, the lives of people around you really are at stake. This isn't like working in an Amazon warehouse where you can have some incompetent people and it's like, okay, whatever, we'll get by. But this is very different. So achievement through merit, again, the topic of today's class, it really matters. And it's very true of the culture of the military of the United States. And I say that because this is what I've come to know throughout my life, both in my personal experiences and in conversations that I've had. And it's just part of the culture. However, you might be thinking, well, that's how the U.S. culture is. Yeah, we pride ourselves on the idea that achievement through merit is the most important thing in the U.S. And maybe, we say like, okay, but that's been changing in recent years. But the fact is that we have a long history of treating certain groups and certain people differently and not allowing them to achieve through merit. So that's one thing in the United States. That's very much true. And the second thing, we also live with this mantra that connections with other people are really, really important for you moving up the ladder of social mobility. Wait, how does that blend with achievement through merit? And what about achievement through merit in a society in which we have centuries of discrimination against certain groups of people and we don't allow them to achieve through merit? Okay? There's no question that sometimes nepotism is involved. And that, especially the higher you go in the ranks, I would postulate that probably, it's really good to know certain people and sometimes that helps you out. Sometimes, but it's different. It's not like in the civilian world. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is the U.S. military is the first institution in the United States that integrated. The first institution. The military was far ahead of other institutions in terms of integrating. Okay? So the U.S. military, this achievement through merit, it is really woven into to military culture, right? But it's hidden from view. There's a lot of conversation about it, and I thought, I'm really curious because I don't talk to a lot of military people about this very specific thing, and I thought, let's have a conversation in class about it because it's really interesting. Like, how is this true? How true is this in the military? And if so, how do you do it? How do you really do this achievement through merit? How do you make it succeed? How does it happen? Because what can we learn from this, right? Anyway, and the only way to do that, of course, is to talk to people, because I can't have opinions. The rest of us can have thoughts and opinions about it, but if we don't talk to people, then what's the point? So given your experience in the military, I'm going to start with you. What do you think people don't know about the institution of the military?
Until there's operations that you need to do or whatever. For the most part, the military is like a regular 9 to 5.
It's a regular 9 to 5? So what does that mean? What do you see?
So usually when you in the morning, you would wake up around 5:30 or whatever, you have PT, physical training for an hour. And then you'll go in and do whatever job you do until you're planning for an operation. That's when it's no longer a 9 to 5. You just basically do the work until you're finished with the work.
Yeah, but and that work can be 24/7.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Well, the military isn't a monolith. It's very diverse, and there's a lot of subcultures within it. People have this idea that, the entire military is infantry, or we're all like, every soldier is infantry or something like that. And it's not really true. There's a lot of different subcultures and jobs within the military that keep it running like a well-oiled machine. You need infantry, you need support. And people, oftentimes attribute like the infantry lifestyle to everyone. And it's really not the case. There's a lot of diversity within the different subcultures of the military, and saying that, acting like the military is a monolith is probably incorrect, I would say.
Okay, I got you.
Everyone, I think, would know, like, the camaraderie is really big, but just, like, experiencing it is kind of not something that I think, like, a civvy can, like, comprehend. You know what I mean?
A civvy. A
civilian.
You mean like most of us?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were 27 years in the U.S. Army as a logistics officer, and you're now an assistant professor in military leadership.
That's correct.
Yeah. And your son's in the class, and you share the same name. By the way, he doesn't get any extra credit because he's already going to get an A because he has all the points for the class.
We love Mark.
Yeah. All right, so listen, let me ask you a question. First off, thanks for being here. And given your extensive experience in the military, because 3 decades is a long time, and you're still really in a way, because you're still actively involved. So even though you're not in, you're involved. What do you want young people to know about the institution? What do you think people should know about that institution?
Well, the Army is the oldest branch of the military. It's been around since 1776. And the Army is here to fight and win our nation's wars. And I think the best thing that they can learn about the military is that the military is here for our nation. We have a lot of different specialties. Just like the one student said, we're just not infantry. I was logistics. There's lots of opportunities in the Army. And I believe it is provides a vital role in the defense of our nation.
So you were deployed in Iraq, is that right? Or Afghanistan?
Yeah, I was deployed in Desert Storm, and I was a battalion commander in Iraq.
For how many years were you over there?
I was over there for 2 years.
2 years? And you were how many people were you in charge of as a commander?
I had 900 soldiers.
So 900. All right. Yes. That's a lot, right? Is that a lot?
It was a lot. I had a headquarters unit. I had a maintenance unit. I had a laundry and bath unit. I had just logistics focused.
What do you think is most misunderstood about the military?
I think what's misunderstood is a lot of individuals who are civilians don't appreciate what the soldiers do for our country. Soldiers give up a lot. They deploy. They're asked to do impossible things within limited resources. And I think the one thing that very few people understand is what the families give up. When the soldiers leave, they're left behind. They have children. They have everyday problems. And the soldiers who deploy are focused on their mission, but they're also missing their families. And that can be very hard, and it causes a lot of problems. Soldiers, especially when they reintegrate with their families.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially when you're deployed, and I'm going to go back to Cole. So Cole, you were in Afghanistan?
I spent 8 months in Afghanistan.
Yeah, where in Afghanistan?
4 months at a classified location and 4 months at Bagram Airfield.
At Bagram, and how? What do you think about what Mark just said about like families and like?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot. It was definitely very hard on a lot of the married enlisted and officers. Like, I can't imagine being like you have a wife and kids who are relying on you and you're very connected. Like, yeah, I have a mother and a father, but it's a bit different. Like, I'm a man out in the world. That's different than having a wife and child who's reliant on you. And being away from them, I can imagine it must be very hard. I probably had an easier time being away from family than most people, but still I miss my loved ones, and I can only imagine that's exacerbated when you have a wife and child.
Yeah, and when you're told to deploy, you deploy. Like, you don't have a choice in that. Yeah,
I agree, but also like we generally wanted to deploy. There's this idea floating around, like especially popular in like Hollywood depictions of the military, where It's like, oh, it's I don't want to have to do this, but I will for my country. It's like we spent like 2-3 years training for this one thing, and now we finally get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And we've become elite by training like nonstop. We've been through hell to get to the point that we're at. And yeah, getting the opportunity to do that is actually something that's like pretty sought after. There's also a level of respect you get in the Army, in the military for deploying, because you have seen that action, you have that experience. You can use that to better teach others.
So let me ask you, so you weren't deployed, right?
Correct, I wasn't.
And what do you think about what he just said? Like, oh man, you kind of wanted to have that. You were in Okinawa, so which was, okay, but what do you think about it?
Yeah, everyone that's like, well, most people, I won't say everyone, but most people that's in the military wants to deploy. And like, because I feel like most people that are in the military feel like they haven't truly served until they have deployed. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily want to see combat, but they feel like they haven't truly served until they have seen combat.
Do you feel like that for yourself?
Yes.
In the infantry specifically, we all want to see combat. Like, it's like part of the culture. Like, you want to like get after it with the boys. That's like, okay.
Not like what's misunderstood, but just like the camaraderie of it, I think is like unimaginable from just like someone who's not actually in it. But with misunderstood, I think honestly, I think you mentioned it, just like all the like very niche like jobs available, because there's something for everyone to do like in the military. And a lot of times I think what's interesting is like, for me, like I could have gone to school for engineering like all years and then graduated, went into like the Air Force, and then done nothing on the lines of engineering. Like I could have been like literally anything, and because they'll just train you. And I think that that's like a very interesting aspect to it.
Militaries around the world are really about achievement through merit. And the U.S. military, for sure, I've grown up with that. That's a thing that that's a mantra, man, you all talk about just again and again and again. What comes up when you hear that? As somebody who has achieved a lot in the military yourself over many years, achievement through merit, like what comes up for you?
What I think about when you say that is that anything's possible for anybody in the military. If you do hard work, if you're honest and respect other people, and you try to do your best and achieve the results that the people set out for you, and you set out, you can accomplish anything.
Can you say more about that? Like, where do you see that in your experience? Like, how do you see that? Where do you see that? What are just some of the ways in which just merit is fundamental?
Opportunities are endless in the military. Anybody can do whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter your race, your creed, your color, your gender. Everybody has the same opportunity. And if you can go in the military, if you decide to go, there's so much education that you can achieve, and the goals are endless. You can go in just about any field and do whatever you want and travel the world. And you can have a lot of educational opportunities and opportunities really for selfless service.
One of the things that I said in that intro is, but all of the U.S. society, Americans like to say this. What you just said, it's come to the United States, like you can be anything you want. You can work, if you work hard, you'll get ahead, you'll do everything. But we have all these different ways in which that's not true. But it really does seem true in the military. Like your words, you're speaking of the military. You're not speaking of just the United States, where we see all sorts of obstacles for all sorts of people. And so the military is a really unique institution in that way.
Yes, sir, it is.
So I've seen like younger people with like a lower grade basically taking charge over people with higher grades just because the people that were in a higher rank, they didn't necessarily know what they were doing to the same capabilities as others. So it doesn't, obviously rank matters in the military, but if you don't know what you're doing in that rank, then someone of a lower rank can fulfill that position.
Can fulfill the position. So it's really merit. Like it's like here, when you all start graduating from high school, from college, you're gonna show up and you're gonna have your college degree. And your college degree is gonna trump. He puts you in a certain position over people who don't have college degrees. But just having the degree, it doesn't guarantee that you're competent, that you're whatever. And what I'm hearing you say is you've seen people who have the merit, they've achieved, they're really good, and they excel. It doesn't matter.
Correct.
Yeah. Cole, how about you? What have you seen on this?
It is interesting to note how the military is structured. It's a very masculine, hierarchical structure where the social dynamics, the career dynamics they're all very hierarchical, and it's a competence-based hierarchy. So your status is directly linked to your competence. You're not going to get respect from people below you. It doesn't matter how nice you are, like empathetic or compassionate. It's not really mission critical. It's all about respect. It's all about competence. It's about achieving the win condition, which is very different. It was quite a shock going from like a suburban American high school to Army infantry. The dynamics are very different. Like in high school, it's all about like, you're not allowed to bully, you're not allowed to like be mean to other people. No one cares about that in the Army. Like if you suck, you will find out that you suck from other guys very quickly. It's like,
hey, Mark, what do you think about what Cole just said?
I agree 100%. I've been in units and I try to have this too. As an Army officer, the private may have the best idea in the world, and I capitalized on that. It doesn't matter what their rank were, but if they had the right idea and it could save lives, especially in combat, I went with their idea and I supported them. I had them come up and brief my staff, and I had them part of the plan to help implement what they were trying to accomplish.
So what Stefan said, then even somebody at a much lower rank, it doesn't matter. Like if they're competent and they're good, because like lives are at stake. This isn't like you're working at Apple or Amazon or whatever, Penn State. Like man, you need to know that the people around you are capable of doing their jobs, or this is going to be a big problem.
That's absolutely correct.
In the United States, lots of people like to say this achievement through merit about U.S. culture, but we really. You can poke holes in that in lots and lots of places, but in the military, it's different. What do you think about that statement?
I agree with you 100%. I know the military is a subculture of American society, but in the military, I think there's greater opportunities. There's more rules, there's more regulation, and I believe it is an institution where discrimination doesn't necessarily happen. It happens in American society more than I think it does in the military. If you're competent, if you can do your job to the best of your ability, and you will be listened to, and people will respect you more because you're there to accomplish the mission, no matter how hard it can be.